Hey guys, Eternal Phoenix here. I hope everyone had a great Christmas and have a happy new year despite the current state of the world. As the title suggests, this will be an analysis of Dragon Ball Super Chapter 66 in Goku's new form. So if you came just to hear about his new form and are not a follower of the manga, just know there are spoilers ahead. Now, I know that I'm a bit behind seeing as how Chapter 67 was released on December 20th. I had intended to get this out to you guys prior to its release, but with how busy I've been between work and the holidays, it just took longer than expected. But with that out of the way, let's get started. So on November 20th, Dragon Ball fans got to see another new form of their favorite blonde-haired Green Knight Saiyan. No, not this one, unfortunately, for all you Vegeta fans. Although it was integral for the win against Moro, Vegeta was once again upstaged by Goku, who was now granted this new technique/form. Even worse is that it wouldn't have even been possible without Vegeta's new Spirit Fission technique, which for those of you who don't know allows the user to separate and manipulate energy from their target, granting them the ability to do things such as undo fusion or absorption techniques, and even free trap souls. Now, all that aside, we see Goku is still struggling to defeat Moro now that he has fused with the Earth, even in his Ultra Instinct form. That is, until Whis informs Goku that he must break Moro's crystal in his forehead, just like Maris did when he sealed Moro's copying powers. However, even with this knowledge, Goku is unable to reach the crystal because Moro has continued to swell from all the power he has absorbed to the point that the crystal has retreated into his forehead. That is until Vegeta steps in with his Spirit Fission technique, which momentarily deflates Moro just enough to show the crystal, giving Goku the perfect opportunity to strike. So even with this, he gets stopped just shy of reaching Moro's crystal, but because Goku is in contact with the Earth and therefore Moro, he was sapped away energy-wise until he was in base form. Now, personally, if it just boils down to Goku breaking the crystal, he didn't necessarily need to be in a transform state, in my opinion. The more energy he puts out, the more of a battery he is to Moro, and while I get that in his Ultra Instinct form, he has great reflexes and maneuverability, Moro also being so large compared to Goku, this makes him much slower and a bigger target. Another thing that strikes me as odd is that Goku states in the panels prior that everything relies on his fist, which makes sense because Moro absorbs energy, but then when he's caught, he states that he didn't have enough god power to destroy the crystal. So I don't know if he is stating that if he had more energy, he could have hit the crystal and not been stopped, or that he can't damage Moro/reach or break the crystal without more power. Either way, it just seemed a bit out of place. Now, whether he was being literal or metaphorical in this prior statement, I'll leave that for you guys to decide. Moving on, it's at this point that Jaco gets an idea and decides to leave the battlefield just as Piccolo and the others arrive. Piccolo asks Vegeta if his Spirit Fission technique can be done in reverse and for him to gather energy of everyone and give it to Goku. Now, it's been shown multiple occasions where ki or energy is voluntarily given to somebody, like when Goku makes his Spirit Bomb. So while I get that Goku wouldn't have been able to gather the energy himself like he would with the Spirit Bomb or just taking the energy for himself, I feel like it makes even less sense that Vegeta was able to gather energy while being on the ground, unless the Spirit Fission technique allows him to gather it without it being taken by Moro. And if that is the case, why not just take the energy from Moro himself, who would have had plenty of energy to spare? But it could also have just been that Vegeta is gathering more energy than Moro can take, which I doubt, seeing as how he took energy from multiple people on Earth simultaneously, Vegeta and the others included. So I imagine taking it from one person would be easier, but regardless of how this works, it was only enough to get Goku to Super Saiyan Blue, which isn't enough for him to reach the crystal at the dismay of the others who believed he would go back into his Ultra Instinct form, which again, going back to what I was saying earlier, this is implying that he can't be stopped in his Ultra Instinct form, even though he was on the defensive prior to being captured. Granted, this was without him knowing that he needed to break the crystal in his forehead, but still. Goku then returns to his base form shortly after because Moro still has him trapped, and at this point he's just trying to break free by force to reach the crystal. And with Moro being completely overwhelmed in terms of the energy and close to self-destruction, all seems lost. That is until a great ball of energy comes their way. So it turns out Jaco's plan was to get Majin Buu to send some of his energy. However, Buu/Grand Supreme Kai had the idea of finding Oob and using their energy to assist Goku. For those of you who don't remember, Oob is the reincarnation of Kid Buu, and therefore he has the Grand Supreme Kai's god energy because the evil half of Buu took the divine energy in a split between himself and Good Buu. So this giant massive energy, which eclipses the energy previously given to Goku, is sent forward, and it allows him to not only transform back into Ultra Instinct, but also allows Goku to create a giant kaiju, or astral form, if you will, of Goku. Now, personally, this poses a few questions, but before I get into that, I've seen a lot of comments online saying, hey, this is a blatant ripoff of the Susanoo and Naruto, and that it's ripping off Avatar The Last Airbender with Aang's Avatar state. Now, while I can understand the argument for Naruto, I really don't see where they're coming from with the whole Avatar The Last Airbender thing. but it does have similarities in the sense that the design is similar to a Susanoo and that Ki and Chakra are very similar. It's common knowledge, however, at this point, though, that every time Toriyama writes himself into a corner, he pulls out some plot armor to secure Goku a win, which is usually a new form or technique. Now, whether it's an exact copy paste is debatable because it's not exactly uncommon for an anime to borrow from other shows. It's just about how it's used or specific traits. I mean, I can think of multiple anime that use fire abilities, everything from Fire Force to Fairy Tail, Full Metal Alchemist, Roy Mustang, fire abilities. He snaps his fingers and makes fire. And I think comparing it only on looks is like comparing Power Rangers to Voltron, even though they're very similar in terms of what they can do and that they use machines to turn into a giant creature that they fight with. It's completely different storylines, completely different worlds, and those are both good shows. So for those of you who call it lazy writing, I'd like you to take that into consideration first. Now, as far as what I just think it poses a few questions in regards to Oob, Ultra Instinct, and God Power. So, for starters, my question is, would Oob's power have been greater than the energy previously given if the others had been at full strength? Seeing as how Grand Supreme Kai defeated Moro 10 million years ago, and Oob possesses a majority of Boot's power, I imagine that if they would have been at full strength when they gave him energy, it may have been equal to it, but it could have possibly been greater. Who knows? I will also want to consider, like, is he stronger than his GT incarnation? Obviously, he's not as old as he was in his GT incarnation, but is this new canon form of Oob going to be stronger? Secondly, is the astral form part of Ultra Instinct, or is it something new entirely? Is it just a giant mass of energy for physical fights? Is it sentient? Can the form be achieved in Goku's base form? Is this going to be something that he can do at will, or is it just a product of him having too much God energy? Is God energy specifically required for this form, or is it something that only Oob can do, that Goku was able to do temporarily because he had his God energy? Is it God energy the only thing? Is it like a God ability unique to Grand Supreme Kai? And finally, just how powerful is Grand Supreme Kai? I mean, his energy compared to that of the others was enough to get Goku from base form to Ultra Instinct, and then beyond that in astral form. So it must be pretty strong. But honestly, the only thing I can answer from all of those questions I just asked to you guys, which I hope some of you guys will try and answer me in the comment section, but the only thing I can really answer is that Oob/Boo's power is possibly more potent, being that it's God energy, meaning that it would do more to power up Goku, especially seeing as how the only other God-like energy would have been from Vegeta and Piccolo, being that Piccolo is fused with Kami, who was the previous Guardian of Earth. Now, I'm not leaving out Dende, but since Kami was the previous Guardian of Earth and he did for so long, he has a more developed power than Dende because he's so young, and even Dende states this himself. So with that in mind, I feel like their combined God energy or God Ki was a good base for the first power up in terms of Vegeta and Piccolo, but their residuals left over when mixed with Grand Supreme Kai/Oob's power gave Goku just enough, if not more, energy than he needed for a limited burst of Ultra Instinct, which may have resulted in the astral form, whether out of desperation and trying to push past his limits once more, which Goku is well known for, or because he previously doubted himself, or maybe it was just by pure luck. Whatever the case may be, this allowed Goku to hold off Moro long enough to destroy the crystal, defeating Moro and saving the day once more, ending the chapter with a smile and a thumbs up signifying his victory. So, this was Dragon Ball Super Chapter 66 review. I hope everybody enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think about Goku's new form, Oob, or the rest of the chapter in the comments below. If you would like to see more manga chapter reviews or for me to review a specific series such as Dragon Ball, feel free to leave a like and subscribe and let me know what you want to see next. I really, really appreciate you guys for getting me to 100 subs. I think I'm at 105 right now, but again, really, really appreciate everyone stuck around from the beginning to now. I know I don't always get out these videos on time like I would like to, but again, thank you for sticking with me and watching these videos when you guys get the chance. Eternal Phoenix, signing out.